Joining me now to discuss this is the man who filed North Carolina's lawsuit against Juul, State Attorney General Josh Stein. Thanks so much for coming on the show tonight. You got Juul to reach this settlement where it'll be paying $40 million to the state over the next 6 years. And $40 million is a lot of money in and of itself. But some might say it's not enough money to undo the damage that Juul is accused of causing. And for Juul, with its huge revenues, it's just a drop in the ocean.
The agreement that we reached with Juul affects not only their pocketbook, but their business practices. It is absolutely essential that we protect young people from getting access to these highly addictive e-cigarette products. The nicotine in Juul affects teen brains even more than it does adults. And once you have developed the neural pathways in the human brain, particularly the teen brain, for addiction, you make it much more likely that they will be addicted down the road. So protecting kids was my preeminent objective, and they are going to fundamentally change the way they do business. No new flavors without specific FDA authorization. They're going to have restrictions on how they can advertise.
Okay.
They can't have any model younger than the age of 35. They can't use any of the social media websites that kids use. They can't be at sporting events, at concerts. Anywhere where kids are, they can't be. The product has to be behind the counter at stores, and they are dramatically improving their age verification requirements, both for sales online and at retail. So kids aren't going to be able to buy it, and that is an incredibly positive development. As to the $40 million, it will be used to help teens, and there are tens of thousands who are addicted in our state.
Look, that is a positive development. I'm glad the money's going to be used for good things, and it's interesting to hear you describe all of the things that they have to change in their business practices. But as part of this settlement, Juul doesn't have to concede that it was, in fact, targeting young people or that it's led to addiction in teens. This is despite numerous studies, like one from Stanford in 2018, that found Juul's advertising was patently youth-oriented, using social media influencers and ads to attract teens. Does that bother you that they don't have to admit any wrongdoing?
Well, I think if they had done nothing wrong, they would not be fundamentally restructuring their business nor paying the state of North Carolina $40 million. Look, transparency matters a great deal to me, too. And that was why I insisted there be a provision creating a document repository of all of Juul's materials in North Carolina at a state university, where any person of the public can go in and examine exactly what Juul was doing over these past few years. So I want them to be held accountable, just like anyone else. And in fact, I think this agreement ensures that they will be held accountable.
Aside from being North Carolina's chief law enforcement officer, you're also a father of 3 young kids, I believe. How worried are you for kids across America that this trend has become as popular as it has? Do people even realize that one Juul pod contains as much nicotine as a pack of 20 regular cigarettes? And kids sometimes go through that in one day. I mean, this was once spun as the better alternative to smoking.
Yeah, parents, a lot of them don't realize how insidious the product is, because a kid takes it when they wake up, they take it on their way to school, they take it at school, after dinner, before bed. And unlike a cigarette, you can't do all of that. And so they're using it much more frequently, they're inhaling it more deeply, and they're getting addicted much more quickly. So it's a terrible product. I think that it's imperative that people do understand how bad this is. If you don't have a kid age 16 to 22, this may not even be real to you, because if kids are older than that, they may have missed it when it wasn't there when they were in high school. And if they're younger than that, they haven't experienced it yet.
Interesting.
But the teen smoking rates have mushroomed, as your graphics showed. We had driven teen smoking from about 30% to below 5% from the late 90s, when we saw that documentary at the beginning of your segment, to about 2016. Since Juul came on the market, we've gone from 5% back up to 30%. It's been an absolutely devastating development for the public health.
So in 2016, the FDA expanded its authority to regulate the e-cigarette market. Since then, there have been some regulatory efforts to curb its sales, but nothing really addressing the youth epidemic, as the FDA called it. There is, however, H.R. 2339, the Protecting American Lungs and Reversing the Youth Tobacco Epidemic Act of 2020, which would, among other things, ban flavored tobacco products. It passed in the House last February. It's currently stalled in the Senate. Surprise, surprise. Is that the kind of federal action you want to see more of? Can the federal government do more here?
No question, Mehdi. The Federal Drug Administration, the FDA, must act. It has existing authority to limit these flavors. And we know that it is flavors that attracts kids to the product. And so if they simply struck out all flavors other than tobacco, we would see a dramatic decline in the use of this product. But the thing is it's more than just Juul. Juul is not the only manufacturer. There are other e-cigarette companies out there as well. It just happens to be the biggest player in the field. So the FDA needs to come up with rules limiting nicotine content and eliminating flavors and apply it to the whole industry.